that because, all right, I love like everything we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Okay, so to all of the viewers out there, including myself, right? You live life. There's gray area. You live and you fucking learn, right? So where the fuck do we go from here? So do I play the shame game where everybody walks away a fucking loser? Because I can do that. I beat myself up my entire life for every decision I've ever made, right? It got me nowhere. No. So I value myself. I see the world differently through a series of events, right? So what the fuck comes next? Because that's where I'm confused, right? Because I'm not, it's like, if you don't, if it's not like gifted to you, like even in your situation, like your dad provided you a life that like so many people would kill for, like, you know what I mean? So that's why it's like, it sucks because the reason I hate these conversations is because it's never about like empathy. Do I understand the scales and how someone may view you for this, that, and the third? Okay, but moving forward, then what? So, okay, so I'm just gonna, like I said, make it about myself. I'm 30, single, mom. My fucking checkered past is all over Instagram. You know what I mean? I have people like you. She's a hoe. She's this. She's literally known for this. Okay, so what would be your advice to people like me then? I don't believe it.
Okay, before we move forward to the advice, right? I just want to say this. The problem with a lot of women and the reason why it's hard for them to come to certain channels or be in certain spaces and get advice or take advice or listen to other women is because they feel constant condemnation, right? They feel less than, they feel like they're being belittled, they feel like people are always going to bring up all of the things that they've done wrong and expose, well, you're this and you're this and, you know, that's the end for you and nothing's going to happen for you. And a lot of these women feel like, well, if they do want to change, then where is the space for that? Where is the space for growth? Where is the space for, okay, I came up with this realization. You guys are right, blah, blah, blah. So now how do I change my situation? But here's the thing. When it comes to women who are just living their normal lives and who are not on social media, might be on TikTok or whatever, but are not as, such public figures as she is, it's a lot different. And let me tell you why. Because a lot of women right now are strongly influenced by the advice that was given to them by you on how to trap a man, how to get a baby, how to get this, how to get funds out of a man, how to sleep around, they were getting this advice from you. You don't need no man. And now that you want to change your tune because your realization is that you're not getting the results that you thought you were going to get because you thought you were in control, which a lot of women do. A lot of women think they're in control of relationships and who's going to be with who and who's not going to be with who. A lot of women have that mentality and are wrong. But because they didn't get those same outcomes, or because you didn't get that outcome, now you kind of want sympathy, but at the same time, you need to be accountable first, right? And she said that she's always been holding herself accountable. She's been this, she's been that. But I think that people want to be sure that what they are telling you is not going to fall on deaf ears so that you can have another form of manipulation. Because if you're known for quote unquote manipulation or whatever, and then now you want to be on the guy's side and figure out how you can move forward, people are going to look at you funny. They are going to look at you sideways. It is going to be a little bit harder for you to gain that information for change. It is what it is. Women have been coddled since forever. People are always coddling women. At this point, there's no softness. There's no, it's not about emotion. It's about truth, facts, how we're going to move forward, how we're going to do this. So you're not going to be confronted with comfort. You're going to be confronted with facts before anything.
Area. I believe black and white.
So okay, well, that's unfortunate because there's gray.
You know what? I'll tell you what.
There's gray.
You know what? To answer, wait, I'm going to answer. I mean, I just think there's consequences for your decisions, and I just think my best advice would be to lower your standards like that because I just think there's going to be consequences for putting promiscuous stuff on the internet.
Okay,
and you probably won't get the type of guy that you could have got at 22.
Do you know what, sister?
It wasn't meant to be then.
Do you know what I'll tell you? I would say Because I'm 30 and I'm single out of a situation that actually is not because I was a hoe and I was doing whatever. People can't call me that. I made it my decision to be with somebody that hurt me a lot, and I stayed for 5 years. I came out super late. And do you know what I realized? What I learned is that I know now that I have to be selective and I have to think. If me taking longer to get to that stage is what it takes, then that's what it takes. You accept your future, you accept everything with gratitude, because as long as you're breathing, that's the most important thing. At least you've got your child. I am not afraid because I know the quality of woman that I am. I know my value regardless of whether I'm 30, 40, 50. Yeah. Do you understand? So you don't be afraid by other people's time limits and limitations and all of these things, because it actually doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why.
No, but your value goes down as you get older.
No, that's according to you.
No, but I'm saying to...
The thing is, besides Pearl, of course, her listening to all these other women who are going to coddle her is not going to help her. You know what happens? What happens is that women are so used to the sisterhood and women being so, overly supportive and overly loving and supporting you even when you're in your foolishness and rubbing your back and saying, oh, it's going to be okay. And sometimes that's really not the reality. And so when they get confronted with the reality of, well, maybe you have to lower your standards. Maybe you have different choices. Everybody sees you out here from doing this, and that. That's going to affect you. It's going to follow you. It's going to, we might have to see. You might have to, it's going to take you longer. Whatever it is. But there's no rubbing of the back. And so they want that. And so, like, that woman that's sitting next to her who's in the same spot is telling her, well, we're the best women that we can be. And we're offering this and we're offering that. But what we need to hear is from the man. We need to hear what a man's perspective is to this conversation. Obviously, like I said, besides Pearl, because we already know how she thinks.
And you have to understand your buyer.
I'll tell you why. Because since Mr. Andrew Tate explained something about status, I understand very well what that actually means. And as a woman, the quality and the value that I hold for myself is actually the kind of value and quality that a man will appreciate the status it will bring to him, whether or not I'm a virgin. Because I've worked on myself to be a woman of quality and substance. I respect myself and I handle myself as such. Okay? And that is the way that you're going to actually overcome all of these bad mistakes that you've made, because who you are right now actually will make a difference if you stick to it and if you mean it and if you've always been that way. There's always another story for everybody. It doesn't matter. You'll be fine. Just find somebody that's more emotionally mature.
I would say.
The thing is, okay, and I'm sorry to keep stopping it so much, but there's just so much to say. I did not watch this clip, okay? This is my first time watching it, so I just have so much to say, and they keep moving from point to point, but this woman is saying you always have time, you always have this, and this is not true. This is not true. Oh, because I know the type of woman that I am, and I know that I'm worth it, and this. Listen, at this day and age, even if we want to take virginity out of it, right? In this time that we're living in, you know what a man values more than anything? Your respect and your femininity. Those two things come top tier. How you respect him and how feminine you are. And the problem is, when you've been on the internet talking about men ain't this, men ain't that, you don't respect them, they're beneath you, you're better than them, you don't need them. When you have constantly said these words and berated men on so many different avenues, so many different platforms, and now you want them to respect you, and now you want to be in a relationship with them, and you want to prove you can be submissive and all of these things, do you know that he's going to be wading in the water? Because if you used to constantly say how much you don't need a man, if you guys get into any kind of conflict, that's going to be the first thing that comes to your mind. I don't need no man. I don't even need you. I could do bad without you. I'm doing you a favor. That humility is not going to be there. It's like the monster just waiting to come out, because who are you for real? The person that's trying to change, or the person who is, we don't need no man? Maybe you don't know, and maybe you're still trying to figure that out, but that's a burden to a man.
What are you about to say, Andrew? Because you just started speaking.
I want to say, Andrew, she said.
Andrew, I want to hear. Because you've been through a lot in your life. When she told me that you were going to be on and we were going to be on this panel together, I started watching a bunch of your videos, and it really was like, there's so much that you have been through, which is why you have a well of wisdom, right? And the difference between me and you is that you're glorified for it, and I am burned at the stake for everything that I've been through. And it's so funny because people have always said that we were two sides of the same coin, as far as like, well, if Andrew Tate gets banned, Brittany Renner should get banned, because we are all about accountability and fucking truth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been through a lot, I've been through a lot. I'm seen as used goods. You're seen as a high value man.
Yep.
So if you're me, then what? What's next?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's interesting you make that observation.
It is interesting to me that she thinks that they're the same, but okay.
You are correct. That's the difference between the masculine and the feminine. It's unfair, I guess. The world's not fair, but that's the difference between the masculine and the feminine. Men are respected for going through things and surviving, and women are the complete opposite. They're shamed for going through things and surviving. If you look at women love scars on men for a reason. He's gone through something.
They're war wounds.
Yeah, men don't want a chick covered in scars. I'll say this right now, that a woman, the more trauma she goes through, the more masculine she naturally becomes. Mm-hmm. And if you were to give me my ideal woman, I would not have wanted her to have a hard life and a bunch of trauma. I like the idea of her having a soft feminine life and being a soft person, and I can take care of her and protect her. Whereas as a man, to be a good man, you need to have been through a bunch of trauma, because if you haven't been through trauma as a man, you're a weakling. You have to have been through a bunch of shit. So the masculine and the feminine is a very interesting point there. As for, I don't know your history. I don't know the past, but we can just talk in generalizations in regards
people
to
like me, I guess, under the same umbrella. It doesn't have to be personal.
I don't know any of it, but we'll give generalizations. One of the main reasons that men are scared of a female with history is because it makes the man insecure, and scared dogs bite. So this is why men will snap or get angry quick, or they'll bring up if you get in an argument with him, he'll bring up your history, whatever. But a lot of it is insecurity, and it's not insecurity because the man is insecure. The female paradigm in society convinces men, any man who says anything, you're insecure. It's not insecure in that way. It's insecure in a very realistic, logical way. Like I was saying earlier, she's had a lot of life experience. Let's be honest. Am I the richest guy she's ever had? No. Am I the most famous guy she's ever had? No. Am I the best looking guy she's ever had? No. Like, what's keeping her here? And then part of it comes down to, well, am I second place? If she could do better, would she do better? Like, there's a whole bunch of insecurity involved. And that's where tiny things, like I know it sounds like dumb shit, tiny things about the favorite car brand become more important than ever, right? It's your job as a woman, regardless of how much sexual history you've had or what guy you're with, etc. It's your job as a woman to make your man feel secure in the fact and make him feel like a man, like Auntie was saying, make him feel like the man no matter what he does, so that he feels like you really truly believe he's the best choice for you on the planet. That's your job to do. Now, if you've had a checkered past, that's perhaps more difficult. You need to be more tactful with it, more tactical about it. But you have to achieve the same result. You have to do the exact same thing, right? So, yeah, it's easy for me if I get a 21-year-old virgin from some village in Slovakia and I'm multi-millionaire Andrew Tate. Of course, it's a very easy. She's never had better. She'll never get better. She's never been anywhere. Boom, boom, easy one, right? But like you said, the world's not so idealistic. The reality is that people have had relationships, etc., etc. But a man is happiest in the relationship when he feels like man of the house, and when he truly feels like you believe he's the best man that you could possibly ever get and have ever gotten. Because a man is jealous. I'll tell you something. I used to say this to girls as like a joke. And I used to say,
truth in jest.
I used to say it, no, but I say it as a joke. So you cheated on me before I met you. And she'd be like, what do you mean? I didn't even know you. It's like, yeah, you fucked that guy before I even knew you. You cheated on me. And they used to laugh, whatever. But that's how men think. That's the male mind. Like, I love you, and you've been fucked by who? But I didn't know you. I don't care if you knew me. You should have waited. What do you mean? But that's the male mind. So he is in competition with all of your exes and all of your lifestyle and all the things you've done permanently. And it's down to you as a woman to sit there and go, how do I make him secure in himself and secure in his masculinity and make him believe that investing in me is still worthwhile because I still truly value him, despite the fact that I could do X, Y, Z. I hope that gives some clarity. But
the thing is, right? So I agree with him, but I also have to say something else as well. Let me start with what I agree with. I agree with the fact that it's important, as your role as a woman, to allow your man to feel like the king he is, right? And allow him to feel like the king of the house. Allow him to know for a fact that, you know, that is your end all be all. You don't see anything past him. You know, he is the one. That's why when a lot of women talk about like, oh, you know, I don't care if my man looks on Instagram because I look too. I genuinely feel like as a woman, that should not be your line. Like, you should not be still admiring or looking at men as if they're attractive or, you know, wondering about possibilities with other men when you are in a relationship. That means that you are not committed to this person. You should be with somebody else. Because with men, it could be a completely physical thing. But with women, it's very emotional. It's very, I wonder what this would be like. I wonder what our life would be like. I wonder what this person's life would be like with me. So it's a completely different ballgame. As a woman, you are your husband's. You are his. You are his entity to protect, to provide for, to lead, to guide, to love. Like, you are his. But when it comes to a woman with a man, it's not the same thing. You belong to him. He can't belong to you. You belong to him. So it is very different. But I just think what I disagree with is that the word choice of insecurity. And I understand why he used that word, of course. But it's something that makes sense, right? Why would I want to be with a woman, right, talking from the man's perspective, who has slept around, who's always, had this guy who was a ball player, all this money, whatever, and I don't know if I take her in a room full of CEOs if she's going to be loyal to me. So it's about loyalty, right? It's about, can he put his self out there and be like, yeah, this is my woman, and be proud of that, or are you going to embarrass him and be trying to sneak around and try to get better than him? Like, I think that's an extremely valid thought process when you have a woman who has been out there and who has been around and who has a lot of quote unquote experiences. It is going to make you feel like that.
That's the answer.
Do you know what I would have said? I would have said, for anybody in that situation, come off social media and just raise your child. So the person who meets you's got nothing to. Like, I never knew you. I never knew who you were because I've never heard of you before. So when I spoke to you. But the way you're saying, like, what's on the internet, let me just say, you're a nicer person than what you sound like what you perceive to be. Mm-hmm. Like, you were saying, that Pearl's got, there, she's a whore, and I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about you. And I was saying that if you didn't have nothing on social media about your checkered past, and you met somebody, the same way how I met you and I conversed and I got to know you, is the same way that they would.
Yeah, and it is interesting, and it's also back to the masculine and feminine, right? Because I'm all over the internet, and supposedly I'm misogynist and I'm evil and all this crap, right? But if I meet a girl, even if she disagrees with me, in fact, I'll say this: I've never ever met a single female who's ever come up to me and disagreed with me. Every woman comes up to me and loves what I says. But I was just
gonna say this, okay? It's so interesting because you would think that this would be so much conflict. I didn't watch the whole video. It's like 3 hours long for the complete video. But you would think there would be so much conflict between the two of them. But the thing is that true dominance cannot be argued with. True dominance you cannot go toe-to-toe with. You have to be humble and ask for advice from that person. She can't come to him toe-to-toe because she know he's not going to play with her. He's going to let her know what it is. He's going to put her in her place, and he's going to check her because everything about him, even though he's in a room full of women, is saying, I am a man. And a lot of women require or desire that dominance, right? The reason why she's so humble, the reason why she doesn't want to hear what the other women have to say, and the reason why she wants to hear what he has to say is because he's coming forward with that dominance. Like, yeah, I'm not going to play with you. Yeah, like, I'm not about to play this game. I'm not Mr. Nice Guy. I might be cool and calm, but at the same time, don't get it twisted. And so I think that should be mentioned too. It's not that she's just this, certain person. It's that she's in a room full of dominance, so it's going to force her into her feminine nature.
I met this imaginary girl. She was sitting with me. And if I were to have a 10-minute conversation with her, by the time I explained the level to which they tried to destroy me, how they tried to freeze all my bank accounts, raise illegal charges against me, put me in jail for things I didn't do, put a travel ban, take my passport, all this garbage. By the time I explain how hard they tried to hurt me and failed, she'll want me. Because she'll be like, you can't kill this guy. And that's going to be it. Like, you say a bunch of shit I don't like, but you know what? You're the man. So it is about experience, and it is different. And that's a really good point about social media. Social media amplifies all of this shit. It amplifies all these problems. Everything we've discussed back to the beginning, from status to promiscuity to your past, it's all social media. Without social media, a lot of it goes away.
Yeah. And I think that's why me and my man last so long, is that he doesn't do social media, and there's nothing on there about me.
I feel like, to answer your question too, because I have had people say that as a solution, and it's like, you can run, but you cannot hide from the truth. Mm-hmm. And I have shared why my voice has been so impactful and will continue to be impactful is because I have put myself out there and I have been punished for being honest. So it's like, I have been given a platform and a voice for a reason. Even sitting down in this conversation thinking there's not one person I'm probably going to agree with and probably going to want to leave, I've been called here for a reason. So it's like I can't go against what is in my heart and what I am coded to be. And that's why I feel like it's important for me to sit here and represent people who feel like me, because it's like I don't want to say I don't even want to say that. I just feel like I don't see a lot of women under my umbrella who feel the way that I feel. I don't see opinions shared that would be worded the way that I feel. Nothing. I feel like a lot of my thoughts are very unique, and it's kind of scary because I have been through different things. I see the world in a different place, and when I even speak online, people think I'm fucking speaking Swahili.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I know exactly what you're saying, and you're making good points. And it's just, I think that regardless of whether, like, we're talking about different positions. I compare everything to chess. I know it's annoying. We're looking at different positions on the chessboard, but the rules are still the same, right?
Okay.
No matter how bad your position is or how good your position is, you're still trying to achieve the same objectives. And you want the man to get high status, and you want the man to feel secure in himself. And I think it's very difficult. I can only talk from the male perspective because I am a man. It is very difficult. If I were to meet a woman who I liked very much, but she had X whatever, past whatever. My concerns would be, how do I know that I'm still the number one? How do I know I'm most important in her life, especially if I don't measure up in certain key metrics? And two, the second thing that's most scary for men is we understand that men are constantly after what we have. Like, your inboxes are all full. Like, they may not be with guys you want to reply to, but guys are still trying to get it. That's the male life. The male life is people are trying to take everything from me. And that's very scary. And you have to make your man really believe like that's impossible. If a man truly believes that nobody can take you from him, he's going to love you in a different way. You can give me 2 carbon copies of the same chick, but one I think might cheat in the right circumstances, and one I know no matter what would never leave me. The love I'll feel for this one is a different planet to the love I feel for this one, even though they're the same person. Right? Because that's every man's biggest fear, is a woman cheating or leaving, because there's something visceral and something different about it. I know I talk things and I say men can do things and women can't and all this stuff. But like, if a woman cheats on a man, that hurts the man at a level that it doesn't hurt the woman if the man cheats on her. It's different. It's different biologically. It's different.
And again, because you're his. Again, he looks at you as this sacred, special person. That, again, he's vowing to protect, cover, guide, love, like all of these things, all of the above. So it's like you're supposed to be untouchable. And that's special. But I don't think it should be a game of trying to convince your man. I think it should be being with that person that you ultimately really, truly feel that way about. I genuinely feel that way, because a lot of women will hear this information and then say, oh, I know what to do. I'm going to make him feel like this, and I'm going to always do this. I'm going to stroke his ego. I'm going to make him feel this way. And they don't truly believe it. They have in their mind that they're going to do other things, but just because they know that this is what a man desires, they're going to try to become that. Right? And that's not the same thing. That's extremely different. But I think when it comes to the situation, it just is what it is. Right? She probably makes a living off of social media. She obviously can't run from the platform. But at the end of the day, I think starting off with saying to all of the women who were following her that, you know what, guys, I'm still trying to figure things out. And to be honest with you, I've been wrong. I'm wrong. I do need a man. I do want a man. I do want to be with a man. I do want a committed relationship. I did have some hard times and hard situations that I've been trying to figure out, and I've passed judgment in ways that I should not. But I do want to say that I do want to be with somebody. I do want a loving companion, and I was wrong. I think that's starting somewhere. Okay, it's definitely not going to change your past, but I think that's starting somewhere and saying a lot.
Evolutionarily, like, that's what men used to fight and die over. You talk to my chick. You look at
like
my chick.
His dick off.
Yeah, it's like you demasculinize him on every level. Like, and this is why you see these TikToks, right? You see these TikToks. Me and my man went on a break, got back together. He fucked 20 girls, and now he's crying because I went on a date. Yes, completely yes. Because the damage level is different. It's just a different thing. So you have to understand the paradigms. You have to understand to play the game, and that's how you make men happy. And I know very well how I like to believe that I would know very well how to make a woman happy. And I know, and whether I do that or not is a conscious decision. And that's where you get to a certain level of grandmastery where if I get a woman, I will literally decide out of 10, how happy do I want her? Does she deserve to be happy 10? Or should I keep her like crying half the time? That it's very conscious. And women don't think that way. But I'm saying if you're a cunning woman, you could be like that. You could be a bit more like, you know what? I want him infatuated with me. This guy ain't worth the time. That guy I want. And then when you're going to do that, just like the game of chess, if you play chess, it's not big moves that make you lose. It's small positional plays. It's that time you argued about your favorite car. It's the time you disagreed with him about the favorite band. It's the dumb shit that adds up. Whereas really, truthfully, if you're truly smart about the game, you can get him to a point after a few months where he's like, she's my soulmate. She loves everything I love. We think the same. Our hearts are connected. Boom. And then you're safe. Just don't fuck it up from there. That's the game.
But I just feel like it's so contradicting to feel like what your overall message is, which is about truth. So it's like if my truth, like if it can be destroyed by the truth, it should be destroyed by the truth. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like why it's really mind-boggling to me because I feel like how could you even be mentally, emotionally, sexually stimulated by a woman who is just agreeable and it doesn't have her own mind. I just don't see that.
That is exactly what every man wants. We don't want you to be complete robots. We're not saying we can't have a joke with you. We can't say we can't have a laugh with you. We're not saying you can't have a personality. But when it comes to things like agreement, there is not a single man in the world who's going to say she's too agreeable. She just agrees with me on it. She agrees with me on all the important things in my life. She's too agreeable. I want someone else. Fuck no. You're completely and utterly wrong on that point. It's a huge point. This idea that, I understand if you're a complete doormat and you set no standards, men might walk all over you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about agreeability and agreeableness as a whole. Men love the idea of an agreeable woman because it gives status and it makes the man feel like he's a teacher and it makes the man feel in charge and it satisfies his ego. And to you, they may be small, little, tiny points, but to him, they're a big deal. If I were to sit, I'm telling you right now, if I were to sit with one of my chicks or whatever, or my chick, and I would just sit in the Lambo and say, Lambo's the best car of all of them. I prefer the Lambo. And she goes, I don't like that one. I'm like, listen, I bought them all, and I fucking said this is the best one. Shut up. It would annoy me because that's my reality. I want her to become part of my reality. It's the thing. And you talk about truth. It's interesting because the truth of your heart and the truth of your soul is to be happy. That's truth. Truth is for you to end up happy.
Do you wanna be right? All the time? Do you want to have the last word? Do you want to have the last say? Do you want to be disagreed? Do you want to prove your personality? Do you want to prove that you have all this knowledge against your man? Do you want to prove that you know more about things than he knows? Do you want to prove all these things? Or do you want to be happy in a relationship? And a lot of times, a lot of women, similar to her, would rather be right and be alone. Would rather disagree and be alone. Would rather cause a conflict and be alone. Would rather try to, bring this man down to size and be alone. That's the whole thing.
You have to sit there and agree on especially on a subject you don't give a fuck about, right? If it's something you care about and you are very knowledgeable about, if it's ancient Roman history and you have a degree in ancient Rome, then fine, argue the point. But if it's cars or something you don't even give a shit about, you're missing the chance to get points on the scoreboard, an easy free throw, and you're just fucking it up, going, no. Why? The truth is just play the game and win.
I love what he said about the fact that men, keep this. It's the little things that add up. A lot of women don't realize that. A lot of women think, well, I cook, I clean, I do this, I do that. But you nag about the smallest things. You're constantly trying to belittle him. You're constantly arguing with him. Going back and forth, pushing and exuding masculinity against him. You're supposed to be on one team and you're pushing it forth like, I know better, I know this, I know that. You can't tell me this, you can't talk down to me. And you're constantly causing conflict. All that stuff adds up in his mind. It's another line on the scoreboard like, there she go. She going off again. There she go. Until he looks at you with disgust. Until he looks at you like this, as beautiful as you may look, as this, she's so disagreeable, she's so this, she's so annoying, I can't stand her. And you're trying to figure out, well, I do everything right, but it's the little things. It's the little things. What do they say? The little foxes spoil the vine? Is that. For sure it's that. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on this video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next video. I do want to say, though, one thing I agree with that she said was when she said about truth. You have to be authentic. You have to be truthful. You have to be honest. Right? You can't be just playing this game and then leading a man into misery. I do not condone that. I don't support that. You need to be truthful. If you are with a man that you cannot be agreeable with, you don't need to be with that man. Like Sister Shahrazad Ali said, free that man, allow that man to find his peace somewhere else, and you go be with a man that you can be peaceful with. Truthfully. Not the facade. But let me know what you guys think about this. I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you.